A diplomat from Wester was assassinated in an accident in Estonia. Officials believe it was a political assassination by the East's far right-wing party and suspect they are planning to counter Westalis. The West has decided to assign Twilight to handle this mission. He was a spy who survived through fierce information battles erupting worldwide. By using hundreds of different faces after each mission, he would assume a different identity and has never failed in any mission. Donovan Desmond, a member of the National Equality Party, will be the next target that Twilight needs to approach. To do this, first he must get married and have a child. Sounds like a mission to increase the population, huh? Actually, the reason is that this Desmond guy only appears at the regular meeting at his son's prestigious school, and all other approaches are impossible. In summary, within these 7 days, he must have a child to bring peace to both the East and the West, and even wider, to the whole world. I, Twilight, a person who has abandoned his identity, will play the role of a father with a young child for a better world. After finding a suitable place to stay, he continues changing his identity to Lloyd Forger, a professional psychiatrist. Now, it's time to find a child. He goes to an orphanage and is surprised by the girl's intelligence, even more so that she can read other people's thoughts. More details about the girl: she was born unintentionally from an experiment of a mysterious organization, but later escaped to seek protection. She is a psychic with the ability to read other people's thoughts, and was an experimental subject with the code name 07. Her name is Anya, and from now on, she will be Lloyd Forger's biological daughter. Since she can always read her father's thoughts, she misbehaves in public. Although very cute, if it were me, I would probably sign her head a dozen times a day. Anya needs to study to take the entrance exam, but she is too lazy. Despite being punished and not allowed to go out, she still sneaks out to the point where he has to fence off the entrance to keep her in. This is Frankie, an information provider for Westalis's spy agency, and also a friend of Twilight. Frankie also shows him information about Anya. Everything is a mystery, except that in a year, she has been kicked out of 4 orphanages. At home, due to boredom, she decided to rummage through her father's secret box to see if anything was interesting. She found a secret communication device and accidentally revealed her location to those searching for Twilight. Upon returning home, Twilight discovered his house had been broken into. He easily defeated 2 intruders and tried to analyze how to save Anya. Suddenly, one of them stood up and attacked him with a stick. Meanwhile, Anya was captured and witnessed the boss's cruelty, feeling scared yet intrigued. The henchmen captured Twilight and brought her back. However, they fell into a trap. He quickly disguised himself as one of the henchmen to rescue Anya. Seeing her cry, Twilight remembered his childhood and tricked the girl into leading them to the police station. Anya envisioned a world where children no longer shed tears like Twilight. She returned to the trap she had set, swiftly defeating each thug. Twilight threatened the boss, ensuring he would never harm him again. Upon returning, he was surprised to find Anya waiting for him. He continued to lie, claiming he had been out shopping. Anya expressed her desire to return home, moving her father with her words. They decided to find a new house. Anya dreamt of living in a castle, but it seemed like just a fantasy. As her entrance exam approached, she used her abilities to find the answers, but the other children were just as bad as her. She decided to study with her father instead. In an unexpected turn of events, Anya passed her exam, relieving Twilight. However, a letter from the school requested a full interview with her parents. Now the question was, where to find a mother for Anya? In episode 2, a mysterious mother figure named Yor Briar, a 27-year-old woman working at the town hall, was introduced. Her colleagues warned her about unmarried older women being suspected of espionage from the West. Later, a blonde colleague invited Yor to a weekend party with her boyfriend. Upon returning home, while on the phone with her younger brother Yuri to reassure him, Yor accidentally lied that she and her boyfriend would attend a weekend party. Soon after, she received another call from someone known as the shop owner, assigning her a task. Oh my goodness, turns out this lady is a professional assassin known as Thorn Princess. Trained in the art of assassination since childhood, she always takes on the dirty work assigned by her employer. She has ruthlessly eliminated a whole bunch of people. Reflecting on her brother's words and her colleagues' opinions, she wonders if someone like her deserves to start a family or not. Lloyd and Frankie are still struggling to find a mother for Anya. From now on, let's refer to everyone by Twilight's current identity. While out shopping for new clothes with Anya, he noticed Yor observing her and got caught in the act. Lloyd explained that he kept glancing because she was too beautiful, intending to ask about marriage, but Anya ran away. She read Yor's thoughts and knew Yor was a professional assassin, which made her excited, and she began to act as a cupid. Poor Anya has no mother and feels so sad. Lloyd also opened up, saying his wife passed away 2 years ago and Yor asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend for the party. Lloyd also asked her to help by pretending to be Anya's mother at the interview. So, they both agreed to help each other in this play. After taking Anya to buy peanuts, her favorite snack, Lloyd received an additional task to dismantle a smuggling ring at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Lloyd and Frankie acted swiftly and easily to retrieve the treasure from the smugglers. While trying to pick up a diamond ring, he was hit head-on by the enemy's car. Today is also the day he has to attend the party with Yor, thinking she has been set up, so she goes alone to the party and is teased by her colleagues. She was about to leave, thinking she didn't belong there when suddenly Lloyd arrived with bloodstains on him. But it was someone else's blood. He mistakenly introduced himself as her husband, and they continued the act. The blonde colleague didn't accept it, seeing Yor with a handsome husband, so she tried to embarrass her but ended up being countered. Lloyd delivers a speech that moves Yor deeply, then escorts her away from the party. Both are chased by remnants of a smuggling group, and Lloyd tricks them into a narrow alley before counterattacking. With reassuring words to dispel any doubts, like this being a strong therapy method for special patients, Yor also joins in treating the smugglers. While fleeing enemy gunfire, Yor suddenly asks if Lloyd wants to get married, catching him off guard. This would conveniently help hide her identity as an assassin. Lloyd agrees and plans to propose with a ring, but he accidentally drops it. Improvising, he picks up a grenade pin as a makeshift engagement ring, placing it on Yor's finger with a romantic vow. Meanwhile, the other thugs meet a fiery end. This odd family dynamic unfolds in Episode 3, with many secrets surrounding the father, Lloyd Forger, a spy known as Twilight, the mother, a professional assassin nicknamed Thorn Princess, and their daughter Anya, a psychic. Yor moves in with them, using fake documents arranged by Lloyd. Anya leads her mother on a house tour, boasting about helping her father clean up, though it is more like causing chaos. Yor settles into her room, and they try to function as a normal family, preparing for an upcoming interview, which ends disappointingly. To foster better understanding, Lloyd takes the family out for a day in the city, but they achieve little. They visit a suburban park to relax, only to witness a pickpocket stealing from an elderly woman. Lloyd gives chase but loses the thief in the crowd. However, Anya's psychic abilities help track him down, leading to his capture. The family returns the stolen wallet, and the grateful woman senses a change in them. Back home, they continue interview preparations, with slightly improved results, but Anya's behavior still concerns Lloyd. Nevertheless, they start resembling a real family. As they gear up for the final interview in Episode 4, the household is mentally prepared, treating it like a battle. Upon arrival, Lloyd and Yor notice they are being observed by examiners evaluating each family's actions. This signals the start of the interview process, resembling a battlefield more than an ordinary assessment. This is the headmaster of the school, a person crazy about elegance. He is observing and starting to pay attention to the Forger family. Actions like bowing to the statue of the headmaster, helping students, and stopping a whole herd of animals have helped the family pass the school's elegance test. These situations are probably thought up by this old man, everyone. Finally, it's the turn of the Forger family's interview. The whole family easily passes the school's simple questions, but the unpleasant headmaster's son starts making it difficult for them with critical questions. Lloyd tries to stay calm. Anya also excellently answers the questions that have been prepared when it comes to the question, if you were accepted into the school, what would you like to do? At this point, the girl can't think of an answer and immediately turns to her father's thoughts and answers. I want to expose the secrets of the organization's leader, making everyone surprised and burst into laughter. Next is a series of annoying questions that make Anya cry. This makes Yor start to lose his temper, and the table takes the bullet for that headmaster. Too angry because that arrogant teacher attacked his wife and son, Lloyd ignores the organization's mission and takes his wife and son away from the interview with criticism like an arrow straight into the heart of the headmaster, and then Lloyd finishes by giving the arrogant teacher a punch in the face. Surely they failed by punching the arrogant teacher's father for not doing well, and she wants to go to school. In fact, she just wants to be with her father. If this mission fails, she won't be able to be with Lloyd anymore. Yor also really wants to continue this life with them, and Lloyd seems to have put his family above his mission, so the whole family is optimistic, waiting for the result, even though they know it's very fragile. In episode 5, all three nervously go to school to see the result. Just stepping out of the house, they see enough bad signs. Not only that, Anya even steps on dog poop. The result of the interview is truly unexpected. Anya failed the interview. But before they could be disappointed, the headmaster came and gave them a list of additional candidates, and the person at the top of this list was Anya. As long as a student accepted for admission declines, the girl will be placed in that vacancy immediately. He did this because he saw that his family really fit this school. The story of that unpleasant teacher getting punched was also told to them. Then he asked the whole family to go back and wait for the result. 3 days later, a phone call from the school announced that Anya had been officially accepted. The whole family was really happy. Frankie even brought a bottle of wine to celebrate with them. The news of this man is really fast. After the party, Frankie said that whatever Anya wanted, Lloyd would reward her. So the girl demanded to play the castle rescue game. At first, he refused, but when he saw the girl teary-eyed, he had to give in. He sent a notice to the organization to arrange everything. People at the organization thought this was necessary for the mission, so they hurriedly did everything. The plane took them to the castle. Then the organization mobilized all the manpower to impersonate the bad guys. After the roles were assigned, the play began. He would play the role of bondman rescuing Princess Anya, single-handedly defeating each spy in the organization to advance to save the princess. After a chase and fight, Lloyd finally reached the final level. His ultimate opponent was Yorticia. Although drunk, she could still dominate and corner him. However, in the most crucial moment of the fight, she stumbled and fell asleep due to being too drunk. Bondman punched the boss Frankie and successfully rescued Princess Anya. This event helped strengthen their family bond, but for the organization, they were very headache because of the huge expenses to pay. In episode 6, after taking Anya to get her uniform, the whole family is invited to a prestigious Eden school event. Little Anya was so scared that she wanted to drop out of school. A few days later, he asked Yor to take Anya to get her clothes. As for himself, he went to meet the organization's leader and got scolded for the huge expenses of the previous event and started phase 2 of the campaign, which was to attend a meeting of the Desmond group. To do this, he had to coach Anya to become a model student with 8 Stella stars at the school based on outstanding achievements or contributions to the community. Conversely, those with low achievements or misconduct would receive deductions, Tony Tris bolts. When receiving all 8, they would be expelled. After getting the uniform, Yor took Anya to the park, where everyone admired her new clothes. Do you think Anya's clothes are beautiful? Yor suddenly pondered whether she could truly become a mother to the little girl or not. The two of them stopped by the supermarket to buy some cooking ingredients, but a few young men nearby targeted them as robbery victims. As they left the store, Anya was captured by the thugs and taken to a secluded place. Yor followed and used a bag of food to smack one of them in the face, causing the rest to flee in fear. Yor apologized to Anya for losing sight of her, and the little girl comforted her mother, expressing admiration for her strong demeanor. Later, they both went home to train in martial arts to prepare for the upcoming school day. Something seems off here. Why train in martial arts for school? The prestigious Eden School's opening ceremony was held to celebrate the successful enrollment of 228 new students who overcame challenges. Lloyd had a backup plan B in case his plan to turn Anya into a model student failed, as he seemed a bit hopeless. This is Damien, the second son of Donovan Desmond, the target that needed to be approached to carry out the friendship plan. However, the first meeting with Damien did not go well, as she was already insulted. Anya's class is full of descendants of influential families, including a girl named Becky, who will later become her close friend. The class teacher is also a passionate principal who loves chaos. During a visit to the cafeteria with Damien and his friends, they teased Anya. Anya, remembering her mother's advice to be patient, smiled warmly to make things smoother. Look at how she smiles. Then, a series of bullying actions by Damien's group ensued, and in a flash, Saitama's figure appeared as Anya struck the boy with a powerful blow. Damien cried when the teacher arrived, and after hearing Anya's explanation that she did it to protect her friends, he decided to reduce the punishment. It involved scolding the parents and a tonitrus bolt. Lloyd's plan B gradually became futile, and Anya's first day at school ended like that. In episode 7, the next day, Anya apologized for causing trouble at school. Lloyd wasn't angry and gently comforted her. She was determined to follow her father's advice and apologize to Damien, but Becky unintentionally thwarted her every time. Lloyd had to intervene for Anya to have a chance to approach Damien. Because she could read the thoughts of the kids around her, she felt very sad and was crying while apologizing. This scene made Anya truly adorable. After hearing Anya express her desire to become friends with Damien, his face turned red and his heart raced wildly. Perhaps he also liked the girl, but his actions were completely contrary to his heart. Since the friendship campaign had completely failed, we will return to Plan A. Anya must study hard to become a model student, but forcing too much is not a good thing, and Lloyd gets angry at her for forcing him to study without letting him watch spy cartoons. After listening to Yor pour his heart out and give advice, Lloyd started thinking more positively. She also showed more of a motherly figure, and when he came to apologize to Anya, he found her dozing off on her pile of homework. Yuri, Yor's younger brother, was extremely shocked after hearing a friend of his at the previous party say that his sister had gotten married. In episode 8, after studying diligently for a few days, Anya confidently raised her hand to speak in class, but her answer was still wrong. Recently, Ostania's counterintelligence agency has been tightening its grip. An informant from the organization at the city hall was arrested by the security bureau, where Yor works. This lady was so happy after getting married that she forgot to inform her younger brother, and he would soon come to verify this marriage. The security bureau, also known as the secret police, is tasked with hunting down spies and monitoring the people. Violence, eavesdropping, threats, and torture are all common occurrences there. Yuri is a member of the security bureau with a junior rank, and he has not told Yor about his job. The secret police are intensively searching for a Western spy with masterful disguise skills, known as Twilight. Yor unexpectedly announced that Yuri would visit the family tonight, so the whole family hurriedly prepared to pass the test of their younger brother. This guy is also very possessive of his sister, so he sees his brother-in-law as an enemy. Because he was too late, Anya went to bed early, leaving the three of them in an extremely tense atmosphere. Yuri bluntly said he still did not accept this marriage, but whatever his sister said, this stubborn guy would listen to her in the end. Now it's Lloyd's turn. Yuri planned to both drink and ask difficult questions, but in the end, he was the one who got drunk first. Yuri used a fabricated story from the Ostania intelligence agency to test Lloyd, but he had already guessed in advance and knew that his little brother was working for the spy agency. After a roundabout conversation, it ultimately came down to proving that they truly loved each other by having to kiss in front of him. Episode 9. Okay, time to kiss. Although a bit hesitant, Yor also took a sip of wine and slowly moved closer to Lloyd. Just as the two were about to kiss, Yuri's father flew in to intervene, while Yor, feeling too embarrassed, slapped Lloyd out of shame. Luckily, Lloyd managed to dodge it, so he received the slap intended for his sister. Thus, the test of his little sister-in-law had also come to an end. Lloyd promised to love and take good care of his sister-in-law from now on, while Yuri promised to continue exposing both of them next time. The next morning, Anya woke up, read Lloyd's thoughts, and found out that her brother was an undercover cop. Although the little girl didn't understand what an undercover cop was, she still jumped up to scold Lloyd for not waking her up, as it took away the fun for her. As for Lloyd, he still had some doubts about Yor, so he secretly placed a listening device on her. Anya knew about this and said they had to reconcile with each other. After a day of surveillance and pretending to be an undercover cop to test his wife, he finally fully trusted her. Lloyd himself felt a bit guilty for doubting her, so he quietly removed the listening devices. Both of them exchanged a lot about family matters, and there was a new step forward in their relationship, which made Anya very happy. In episode 10, next week in gym class, there will be a friendly soccer match, and it's rumored that whoever is the class MVP in the winning team will receive a Stella Star as a reward. Although it sounded a bit unbelievable, Lloyd let Yor train with Anya to help her become the MVP in this match. After a week of diligent training, the day of the match had arrived. Anya was full of energy and was on the same team as Damien. She accidentally read his thoughts and found out that he was trying very hard to overcome his brother's shadow to get their father's attention and love. The match began, and Anya's class was the first to be thrown the ball, with Damien being the one to execute it. However, his throw was easily blocked by a large student named Bill. Is this guy really a kindergarten student? It's hard to believe. With superior physical strength, Bill easily took down each student one by one. However, he couldn't hit Anya because she read his thoughts and dodged them all. It was so funny to see the little boy so worked up that he started crying. Surprisingly, the girl stumbled and fell due to her friend's dodge from the sidelines and was hit by Bill. But Damien caught her just in time. Anya got serious. It was time to use her mother's deadly throwing technique, recalling what she had been taught and the days of hard training. Anya got into position, exuding a killer aura that made her classmates sweat. She took the force of the stomp and the motion of the hips and used them to fill her hand with power before unleashing the throw. What was that? Why was it weak and off balance? So Anya was also eliminated, and the class lost the match. However, according to the principal, there would be no reward for Stella Stars as rumored. Instead, Anya's class, despite their personal differences, still united to face difficulties. This deserved a star. Before he could finish speaking, the kids started arguing again. So the principal decided there would be no rewards at all. In episode 11, Lloyd was trying to address Anya's academic performance after receiving a shower of poor grades. Perhaps being too strict with the little girl wasn't the way to go. There were other ways to achieve Stella Star. He let Anya try and discovered something very surprising. The little girl had no talent whatsoever. There was still a way to earn that star, through social contribution activities. Lloyd took her to volunteer at the hospital, where long-term active participation would surely be rewarded. However, she caused chaos at the hospital rather than helping, to the point of being kicked out. As the two walked away, feeling helpless, Anya heard a boy's cry for help at the pool, where he was drowning. Without much thought, she told her father she wanted to learn to swim and quickly dove to the boy's location. Thanks to this, Lloyd also followed and saved the boy. Anya's action was commended, and she was rewarded with a Stella Star. Anya was thrilled, as this was the first time her ability had saved a life. Anya became famous at school for being the fastest to receive a star. She thought this would make it easier to bond with Damien, but no, it didn't work out. However, the boy did say a few fair words when Anya was attacked by her classmates in class. After hearing Vicky talk about the rewards of achieving something and knowing that Damien also has a dog, the girl went to tell her father that she wanted to have a dog. Having a dog will help bring peace to the world. Her idea is to get close to Damien's father. In episode 12, the shortage of manpower in the organization has become increasingly severe, forcing Lloyd to carry out numerous other missions. He also accidentally overheard the neighbors saying that he didn't care about his family, afraid this would affect his plans, so he decided to take the whole family out for the weekend. Despite being exhausted, he had to make sure the neighbors didn't suspect anything. It's really like my neighbors. Today, their family will visit the aquarium, and coincidentally, he also received a mission at this location. Even on days off, there is no peace. The mission becomes even more difficult when he meets the neighbor's family at the aquarium. Now he has to pretend to be enjoying the outing with his family while completing the task of finding a penguin that swallowed a film roll. With hundreds of penguins at the penguin park, how will he know which one is the target? Seeing his father at a loss, Anya lent a hand. The little girl quickly identified the target and hinted to Lloyd. He pretended to buy drinks and disguised himself as a new employee to sneak into the penguin care department, successfully passing the manager's test and taking the target. However, an enemy approached to reclaim it but was exposed and attacked by him. Because the penguin was causing a commotion, Lloyd couldn't chase after the guy. He intended to report to the outside to eliminate him. Luckily, the girl followed and told her mother that she was kidnapped, resulting in him receiving a stern kick from Yor. So, the mission to retrieve the film roll and the mission to take the whole family out for a fun outing were both completed. The mission to outsmart the noisy neighbors was also completed. When they returned home, Anya planned to sneak into her father's room but was caught and scolded, so she cried, and to appease her, Lloyd and Yor had to play the role of spies around the city with her. In episode 13, in a hidden corner of the city, a group of mysterious people is secretly transporting crates, which contain dogs being prepared for some evil plan. Today, the Forger family went out to buy a pet for Anya, while the girl at home hoped as much as she was desperate when she arrived at the pet store. The dogs here are all aggressive breeds, not like what Anya imagined. This made her papa on tenterhooks and asked the shop owner if any of them looked friendlier, so he introduced the family to the pet adoption event at the shelter. Just then, Lloyd received a new mission from the organization and had to leave immediately. Anya knew her dad needed to go on a mission, so she quickly coordinated to trick her mom and leave ahead. Currently, there is a group of criminals identified as university students from Berlin plotting to assassinate Foreign Minister Brandts. Some of them have been arrested, but Lloyd's organization has not yet gathered any information from this group. That's why they summoned the esteemed forger. Based on the tape provided by the organization, he disguised himself as the leader with the others and tricked them into revealing everything. Thanks to this, the organization found out that these people were planning to bomb the military dogs to assassinate the minister. However, according to the assessment, this is an impractical plan for university students because the organization believes that training a military dog costs as much as a small missile. Lloyd suspects that there is a force manipulating everything behind the scenes, and things are starting to get complicated. But for now, to maintain peaceful relations between East and West at all costs, the organization will prevent this assassination. At this moment, the terrorists are still walking the military dogs. In a moment of distraction, a chubby dog escapes from the bad guy's hands and inadvertently saves a boy from an accident. Anya and her mother are still fascinated by choosing pets. While teasing a few dogs, the chubby dog that passed by earlier caught Anya's attention. The little girl was very surprised to see her family in the mind of this dog. So, out of curiosity, she decided to follow the bad guys and reach their base. Later, Anya was quickly discovered by these people, who planned to silence her, but the chubby dog bravely bit through the chain to protect her. When Yor discovered that his daughter was missing, she became even more worried at the thought of her being kidnapped by bad people. Back to Anya, with the ability to foresee the future of the chubby dog, the little girl seized the opportunity and managed to escape from the base, but the bad guys were relentless in chasing her down. The chubby dog carried Anya on its back and bravely set out to find the police, but unfortunately, they were intercepted by the terrorist. In that dangerous situation, Yor, Anya's mother, appeared like a badass, delivering a flying kick to the bad guys, pinning them against the wall. In episode 14, the leader Keith, upon seeing Yor's arrival, decided to cut his losses and ordered his henchmen to attack. However, the little dog, with just a few growls, was scared off by Mama, threatening to chase it away with its tail between its legs. Seeing the unfavorable situation, Keith made a swift escape. Yor wanted to pursue but couldn't leave Anya alone on the street, so Keith managed to flee. According to her daughter's account, Yor learned about the terrorist bombing plot of the bad guys. Anya apologized to her mother for running off alone, but for Yor, seeing her daughter safe was all that mattered. While waiting for her mother to call the police, a future prediction image appeared again. But this time, the figure of Papa slowly vanished, revealing a scene of destruction. Lloyd was lying unconscious in a pool of blood, and the peace between East and West was under threat, causing Anya great concern. She embarked on a mission to save the world with the chubby dog by her side. On Lloyd's organization's side, they were gradually capturing the terrorists, but the leader Keith had not been caught yet. He was determined to carry out his plan. The target of the bombing he aimed for was the clock tower, the very place Lloyd needed to protect. He was determined to prevent war at all costs. With the help of the chubby dog, Anya managed to escape her mother and reach the clock tower. With only 30 minutes left until the bomb detonated, Anya needed to act quickly. Coincidentally, the girl spotted Keith through reading his thoughts at that moment. Anya learned his entire plan and immediately ran to where he had planted the bomb. She even considered defusing the bomb but hesitated for a moment and decided to leave a warning note for Papa to be careful before leaving. The clock struck the hour, but the explosion did not occur. The image of Anya's family appeared once again, complete and whole, making the girl very happy. Although the bombing was thwarted, Keith, the mastermind, had not been caught yet. Lloyd disguised himself as the minister to lure him out, and without suspicion, Keith chased after Lloyd. Seeing the opportunity, Lloyd began to act with acrobatics and expert marksmanship, causing Keith to be stunned and decide to release the dog carrying the bomb to assassinate. In episode 15, the dog dashed forward like an arrow, Lloyd decisively removed the mask and aimed the gun to shoot down the bomb on the dog's body. The bomb was thrown into the air and exploded instantly, leaving Keith stunned. Meanwhile, Mr. Forger was struggling with the fierce dog. When Keith saw his plan fail, he immediately drove away, but unfortunately he ran into Yor on the way, and upon seeing him, she punched him in the face. Both he and his car crashed into an electric pole for daring to kidnap Yor's beloved daughter earlier that morning. She then hurried to find her daughter. After a long day of covert missions, they coincidentally met on the street. Lloyd lied that he had to bury his feet in the toilet all day, making Yor blame herself for the stomachache he got from her breakfast. Anya, on the other hand, was obviously scolded by her dad for the crime of being too mischievous or running around carelessly, causing her mom to worry. Just then, the organizers arrived and wanted to take the chubby dog away, but Anya adamantly refused. She declared that if they took her dog, she wouldn't go to school anymore, and she burst into tears. Seeing this, everyone gave in and let the girl take care of the dog. So, the Forger family gained a new member. Because the dog needed a health checkup, it wasn't until the next morning that the pup was transferred to Anya's house. Needless to say, the little girl was very fond of this new member. The next day, Anya eagerly went to school to show off her new dog, and her friend Becky seemed very interested and wanted to visit Anya's house. But Anya didn't care. All she was interested in was getting close to Damien. However, when Damien heard Anya bragging about the dog, his expression remained emotionless, making Anya feel sad. Seeing Anya in distress, Damien thought he might have gone too far, so he came to ask a few questions about the new dog's name, which made Anya very happy. But it seems like her mom forgot to name the dog. When they got home, Anya and her parents took the dog for a walk. Lloyd asked about naming the dog, but she had no idea. Seeing other people's dogs with proper names, she decided to ask around for reference. Seeing the girl playing happily was very enjoyable. As for Lloyd, he seemed to carry many thoughts about war and peace within him. On the way back, Anya had her glove taken by a fierce dog, which was later retrieved by the chubby dog. At that moment, she saw the cool dog resembling the character Bondman in an anime, so she decided to name the dog Bond. In episode 16, Yor has been acting very strangely lately, often coming home late with bandages all over his hands and a gloomy expression on his face, causing great concern for both father and son. Today, after work, Yor, with a fierce look on her face, brought a mysterious package to the house of her colleague named Camilla. In reality, she was just attending a cooking class, but I thought she had just carried out an assassination mission. Instead of heading to the battlefield, or rather the kitchen, her younger brother Yuri arrived, hoping to eat the food Yor had cooked. It turns out this guy is obsessed with her older sister. If she were second, no one would be number one for sure. It can be said that letting Yor into the kitchen is a culinary crime. She just wanted to chop some vegetables, but ended up destroying someone else's cutting board. Yuri praised Yor endlessly, while Camilla couldn't stand it and sent her away, advising her to get a divorce. However, upon seeing Yor's determination, Camilla softened and continued to teach her. Finally, the most challenging part arrived. Yuri tried the food his sister cooked. Although it was hard to swallow, he still praised it as delicious, while Camilla and her husband immediately discarded their first bite. Not giving up, Yor continued to learn to make a second dish, but the outcome was not much better. In the end, Camilla suggested trying to make a stew similar to the one their mother used to make when they were kids, and they succeeded in creating a dish that tasted just like the one their mother used to cook for them. At home, Lloyd and Anya were still waiting with hungry stomachs, and Yor suddenly announced that she would cook dinner tonight, surprising both of them. Lloyd only then realized that Yor was attending cooking classes. A while later, 2 plates of rice with stew were served, and seeing Anya and Lloyd enjoying the meal, Yor was so happy that she burst into tears. Sometimes, happiness is just that simple. She happily brought out the second dish, but as soon as they took a bite, both father and daughter collapsed. Today, Frankie made plans to meet Lloyd outside because he had fallen for a girl and needed Lloyd's help. In exchange, he was willing to help Lloyd create a new type of super small recording device. Upon hearing this, Lloyd immediately agreed. So, the two sat down to plan how to woo the girl, with Lloyd even disguising himself as her to help Frankie practice beforehand. However, when they met the real person, this guy became flustered and couldn't find the right words to say. On the way back, he met the Forger family, excitedly telling Lloyd that he had invited someone out, but no lie could get past Anya. Anya knew that her uncle had just been rejected. so she sympathetically held his hand to comfort him. In episode 17, on her way, Anya encountered Damien again, determined to complete her plan to approach and befriend the boy. Since she had recently taken a family photo with her dog, she intentionally showed Damien that picture to show off her super cute dog. However, Damien breezed past her like a gust of wind, not paying any attention to Anya, only catching the eye of Becky, who was mesmerized by the coolness of Anya's dad and claimed the photo as her own, causing Anya's plan to fail. In class, they had a paper folding assignment with the theme of animals, and coincidentally, Anya ended up in the same group as Damien. She was excited as this was an opportunity to show Bond's cuteness through her paper model. However, her model turned out to be terrible. As for Damien, he was determined to create a masterpiece to impress his father. When Anya found out, she wanted to help, but once the paper was in her hands, it was destined for a disastrous outcome. Despite knowing that Anya was only trying to help, Damien was furious at her destructive actions. By the end of the day, their joint artwork unexpectedly won the gold prize, leaving everyone astonished. However, Damien was not happy as the artwork couldn't be shown to his father. Since starting school, Damien had always been striving to become an imperial scholar to gain his father's attention. This beautiful woman is Sylvia, from the Westalis Intelligence Agency, who is known within the organization as the Iron Lady. While she appeared as a diplomat at the Westalis Embassy, behind the scenes, she coordinated many intelligence operatives, including Twilight. Today, the two had a meeting to discuss the Strix campaign. However, all Lloyd could report was that Anya could jump over 2 hurdles and skip rope 5 times. Sylvia was totally lost after hearing all that intel. In 8 weeks, the midterm competition would take place, with the top performers in each subject receiving a Stella Star, while the others would be penalized. Initially confident, due to her ability to read others' thoughts, Anya remembered her superpower's weakness. It disappeared during a lunar eclipse, which coincided with the exam, meaning Anya couldn't cheat. She immediately turned to demand Bond to use his future-seeing ability to check the exam, but when she saw that tonight they would be having beefsteak hamburgers, the little girl was so happy that she forgot all about the exam. Today, Yor asked Yuri to come and tutor Anya. Although Yuri didn't really like Lloyd much, he decided to teach Anya because of his beloved sister. However, after studying for a while, the little girl's head was already smoking. The girl confessed that she really hated studying, so Yuri told her about his childhood motivation for studying to help her regain her spirits, and the two fought together all morning. But the results still didn't sink in anywhere, too discouraged, so Yuri left in frustration while Anya slinked into her room to study on her own. When Lloyd came home and saw his daughter enthusiastically studying foreign languages, he was crestfallen because this subject wasn't even for the exam. The Strix campaign doesn't seem to be going well. Seeing the situation not looking very optimistic, Lloyd decided to intervene. He disguised himself as a teacher at the school to swap Anya's exam results. In this operation, Lloyd encountered a self-proclaimed amateur spy named Daybreak. Since he didn't know this guy's true intentions, Lloyd didn't act recklessly, but quietly followed him. Wherever this dude went, trouble followed. Lloyd cleaned up the mess behind him, even especially helping him get past the security guard. Since this dude always wrote down his missions, Lloyd also knew his purpose here was to fix the grades for his Desmond brothers. Daybreak began his mission. After knocking out Twilight, he proceeded to fix the exam, even planning to sign his name coolly. Lloyd couldn't stand his foolishness and intervened. Seeing this, the guy wasn't afraid and calmly left. In fact, his purpose here was to fix the exam for his Desmond brothers, but his plan failed due to Lloyd's interference. Damien successfully achieved second place, while Anya barely passed any subject. But Papa was happy because the little girl had tried her best in this exam. In episode 19, the exam ended and everything returned to its peaceful state. Everyone was planning to go to Damien's house for a group meeting and celebration because he had just received a Stella Star. While everyone was chatting, Anya discovered that a friend named George was up to something. It turned out that George was the one who hired the amateur spy to fix Damien's test, and he even deliberately threw away a cigarette butt and pretended to be beaten to frame Damien. Unfortunately, the entire plan was exposed by Anya, who immediately stepped up to defend Damien, leaving him feeling embarrassed. Damien then confronted George to investigate and discovered that Desmond Corporation was responsible for the bankruptcy of his family's company. Feeling resentful towards Damien, George was not pleased with the situation. However, upon learning the truth, everyone turned to scold him, which made him very sad. But as it seemed to be George's last day at school, everyone turned sympathetic. Each of his friends fulfilled his wishes before saying goodbye. At that moment, everyone in the class was present to comfort George, who burst into tears as he didn't want to leave his beloved school and friends. Witnessing this, Becky, Damien, and the whole class joined in singing, creating an unforgettable memory for George. As they left, his friends even gave him farewell gifts. It seemed like the end of a touching story, but not quite. When George heard that Desmond Corporation only acquired his family's company to save it from bankruptcy, he felt ashamed and had to return to school the next day. This morning, after dropping Anya off at school, Yor discovered that his daughter had forgotten her gym uniform. Afraid she would be punished, Yor rushed to bring it to her. With the agility of a professional agent, Yor swiftly moved from one rooftop to another, arriving at the school just before the bell rang. Lloyd was also at the school, and was quite surprised to see his wife there. After a brief search, Mama found Anya. But since she didn't have gym class that day, she didn't need the uniform, so Yor had to sneak back home. Lloyd followed her, noticing her sadness, and they decided to have lunch together. In today's class, Anya had an assignment to explore her favorite job, and everyone planned to write about their parents' jobs. As soon as she got home, she told Mama about it. However, this family was anything but ordinary. Upon hearing her daughter ask about his job, Yor immediately imagined taking her to the crime scene to witness an assassination. A terrifying scene. Knowing this, Anya didn't make it difficult for her mother and decided to go investigate Papa's job at the hospital. Following Papa around, Anya asked him about the reason for choosing this job. Outside, Lloyd spoke to his daughter about lofty ideals, but in his mind he began calculating how to approach the Desmond family. Next, Anya greeted Lloyd's colleagues at the hospital. Lloyd was well liked for his friendliness, and it seemed to be part of his secret plan. After that, Annie was led by her dad into the office. She continued to explore everywhere and even discovered a secret escape route. Since Lloyd had work to do, Anya had to play alone in the room. When she saw her dad leave, she immediately put on a dangerous face. She then explored Papa's secret escape route. While exploring the tunnel, she accidentally found a meeting room and made a noise that startled the people inside. Afraid of exposing Papa's secret, she quickly returned. Just then, Lloyd also returned. Anya quickly dumped her toys into the sandpit, pretending they had a great time playing there, but her abstract artwork made Lloyd suspicious, thinking she might have a psychological problem, which made him worry. He picked up Anya's crumpled note to take a look, thinking that her mom's secret would be revealed, but the messy writing made it incomprehensible. The next day she had to read her report in front of the class. At first, it was touching, but later on, her writing made Lloyd and Sylvia, who were sitting together, shudder. Specifically, she wrote, "Papa is very determined to make connections. He even plays golf at his job and uses a secret escape route. They pass out candy too, and sometimes he even punches and kicks his parents." This speech by Anya was successful and left the whole class in awe. In episode 21, the white-haired girl named Fiona, codenamed Nightfall, a member of the WISE organization, known as the Woman Ambition, is harboring ambitions to overthrow Yor and become the Forger family's lady. This morning, Fiona came to deliver Anya's forgotten magnifying glass from the hospital the day before. Since Lloyd was not at home, Yor had to welcome this unexpected guest. Fiona intends to sow discord in the Forger family's relationships, but just then, Anya and Papa return. Lloyd was quite surprised by the appearance of this colleague. Here, Fiona used a code to communicate with Lloyd, saying that he was too engrossed in the family game, which wouldn't end well. Despite this, Anya knew that Fiona was infatuated with her dad to the point of forgetting her way back and had ambitions to replace her mom as her stepmother. Yor was making coffee for everyone when she realized the impending danger of losing her husband, but she didn't know what to do as she was too clumsy. Even doing household chores didn't work out for her, while Fiona was constantly plotting to replace her. Fiona even planned to train Anya to become a Stellar collecting machine, so she boldly suggested to Lloyd that he should replace his wife. Seeing this, Anya immediately ran to hug her mom and said she only loved Mama Yor, and that the other stepmother should not step into Anya's family. Seeing the two worried, Lloyd reassured them that he had no intention of replacing his wife, as Yor was already good enough for him. Fiona always thought she understood Lloyd well, but it seemed not to be the case. At this moment, she saw this family of three so warm and happy, while she felt like she was surplus and decided to leave. Seeing Fiona returning in the rain, Lloyd ran after her to offer an umbrella, but she said she didn't need it and silently thanked the rain for allowing her to hide her overflowing emotions. She promised herself that one day, she would prove to him that she was the most suitable wife for Lloyd. In episode 22, recently there was a plan to target a valuable painting called The Lady in the Sun, which was related to a gentleman named Campbell. The organization suspected that the painting contained a secret code that would provide useful information. Lloyd's mission this time was to cooperate with Fiona to steal the painting. Fiona's plan to approach Mr. Campbell was to participate in a tennis match, an illegal competition that attracted many big players from the financial world and the underworld, and the champion would receive a piece of art of their choice from Campbell's collection. Fiona and Lloyd pretended to be a married couple to compete. With the extraordinary skills of a professional spy, they successively defeated each opponent. Yor, at home, felt very sad when she knew Lloyd was participating in the competition with Fiona. By now, Lloyd and Fiona had quickly reached the final round. Lloyd noticed that his colleague had injured her hand during the match, so he advised her to be careful because their opponent this time was no ordinary player. Fiona was happy to see her senior caring for her, but she didn't show any emotions on her face. Suddenly, they discovered toxic gas in the room, and Lloyd suspected that it would weaken their physical strength. Unable to leave the room, they had no choice but to hold their breath until the battle began. Their opponents in this match were the Campbell brothers, armed with special rackets. In the first half, the Campbell siblings successfully took the lead. Moving on to the second half, they continued to use dirty tricks to take down Lloyd and Fiona, but unfortunately, their opponents today were professional spies, so it wasn't as easy as they thought. Now let's move on to episode 23 to see the outcome of these two young men. In episode 23, the fierce battle continued. Team Campbell used tricks to defeat their opponents, but Lloyd and Fiona quickly countered, leaving the Campbell siblings stunned. Mr. Campbell was restless, and they even set up a sniper to shoot secretly. But luckily, Lloyd was quick to intervene and protect Fiona. Thanks to wearing a bulletproof vest, the rubber bullets did not harm Lloyd. He quickly returned to the fight, surprising the opponents. Together, they skillfully escaped the dirty tricks of the opposing team. In a decisive blow, Lloyd even gave the opposing team member a shot that left him writhing in pain, and in the end, the spy team emerged victorious as the match concluded. Mr. Campbell got wind of a painting and prevented Fiona and Lloyd from taking it. When they were denied, they resorted to stealing. While Lloyd disguised himself as a guard to retrieve the painting, Fiona seized the opportunity to steal an ancient vase and some rings as gifts for Sylvia. Upon returning, Lloyd found Anya and her mother still playing tennis. Fiona greeted them and even proposed a match against Yor. Anya worried for her mother, but she also cheered and supported her wholeheartedly. Yor was to serve first, and everyone thought she would miss, but to everyone's surprise, the first ball was split into pieces by Yor's powerful swing. Anya brought another ball, and on the second serve, Yor succeeded. The ball flew towards Fiona like a fiery tornado. The force was so strong that it broke Fiona's racket, causing her to fall before Yor's tremendous power. Fiona admitted defeat and vowed to seek revenge someday. Thanks to the code collected from the painting, the organization unearthed a treasure trove of the colonel's ledger. It depicted beautiful woman. I also surrender to this, Mr. Colonel. In episode 24, Lloyd asks Frankie to look after Anya while he goes on a date with Yor. They went to a restaurant, drank wine, and had a heart-to-heart. Lloyd wanted to explain Fiona's situation to avoid misunderstandings with his wife. For Yor, she knew their relationship was based on mutual benefit, so Lloyd's involvement with Fiona seemed like something she couldn't interfere with. She wanted to say if he wanted to be with Fiona, she was willing, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. To motivate herself, Yor decided to finish a whole bottle of wine. When she was drunk, she casually scolded him, "Who the hell is that woman? Is he in love with her?" Upon hearing that, Lloyd immediately explained that they were just colleagues, but Yor didn't believe him. After all, Yor was so beautiful, right? Does he not find her interesting anymore? Seeing Yor so worried, Lloyd gently took her hand and said some cheesy lines. "I still want you to trust me, and I want you to be my real wife." But before he could finish his sentence, she kicked him far away. Even as a professional spy, receiving such a powerful kick from his wife, Lloyd fainted and had to be carried to lie down in the park. She apologized to him, thinking that a strong girl like her being abandoned was understandable. Hearing that, Lloyd was a bit surprised, so he let go of all defenses and told her about his mother, who was a very strong woman. He loved hugging her warmly and feeling safe. For Anya, Yor was her solid support, and she always believed that no matter what danger she faced, Mama would come and everything would be fine. Lloyd knew she would be a good mother, so he wanted Yor to continue being Anya's mother and also be his wife. The next morning, when Yor woke up sober, she had forgotten everything, leaving Lloyd at a loss. After many days, Anya's plan to approach Damien had not progressed, making her quite discouraged. While feeling down, Becky came to inquire. Becky thought Anya liked Damien, so she boldly helped Anya flirt with Damien. Anya agreed to follow Becky's advice. In reality, Becky had another intention, which was to become Anya's stepmother. The two girls went shopping together, and indeed, the young miss had a different style, even when shopping. As for me, I was enchanted by Anya's cuteness when trying on clothes. After clothes, it was shoes, hats, and glasses. Trying on until exhausted but still not buying anything, Becky thought Anya didn't like shopping, but no, Anya liked it. When they left, they even bought a pair of keychains as a memento. But perhaps, even without wearing beautiful clothes, Anya still made a certain someone mesmerized. Volume 25. Every half semester, the school will organize a gathering of friends, which is a meeting only for imperial scholars and new assistants to attend. It can be said that this is where the elite and big shots in the political and economic circles gather. Lloyd also disguised himself and appeared at the school. However, the security management at the conference is extremely tight, so it will be very difficult to infiltrate inside. Therefore, the Strix plan was born to establish a long-term connection with Desmond and find ways to gather internal information. In this conference, he will participate, as Damien's older brother is an imperial scholar. Everyone in the class admires Damien for having a talented older brother and wants him to lead them to greet his father, but it seems that Damien is not happy when his friends keep mentioning this. Anya also tries to approach Damien, but her amateur spy act is so obvious that anyone can see through it. The boys think Anya is following because she's infatuated with Damien, making him feel embarrassed and flustered. Anya, who is short, no one cares about her. When she hears this, she gets angry and wants to punch Damien, but she has to hold back because of the Strix plan. Damien also goes to the assembly hall because he wants to meet his dad, but changes his mind thinking that he must be very busy and won't pay attention to him.
Just as he is about to leave, Anya appears and successfully persuades Damien to change his mind, so he decides to wait for his dad in the flower garden. Anya also decides to wait with him, but after a while, she falls asleep, causing Becky's butler to gotta carry her back. Lloyd seizes this opportunity to pretend to return to find the keychain Anya dropped. As predicted, he meets Damien's father, the esteemed Desmond, using the excuse that Anya punched his friend on the first day of school. Lloyd successfully talks to him, and Desmond doesn't care about what happened. Seeing his father easily overlook the matter, Damien is slightly dissatisfied, but luckily Lloyd responds in time, using his sharp language skills to impress both father and son and leave a good impression of himself in front of this unpredictable man. Before leaving, Lloyd also tells Desmond that despite being a bit stubborn, Anya respects Damien. This makes the boy blush, and with all his courage, Damien tells his father about his achievements in the semester. Hearing this, his father praises him for doing very well, which makes Damien very happy with just that little bit of recognition.